Everybody, it's Lance again. This is my second video that I'm posting. This is 2 weeks on T. I had my second shot today. Self-injected myself right here. So that's great. Not a lot happening. As far as updates, as far as what has changed since the last video. Just more hair, which is great. Starting to get some whiskers along here. Which is really interesting. I didn't notice it, and someone's like, "Oh, you have whiskers growing." I was like, "No way. It's not supposed to happen for like 6 months," but it's happening now, so it's interesting. Let's see what else. My laugh is definitely a lot deeper, which is hilarious, I guess. But my voice, I don't think's really changed. A couple people have said that they think my voice is a little deeper, but I think it's just psychosomatic. But my laugh definitely is not as high as it used to be. It's more just deep in general. Not a lot going on other than that. Second shot was pretty easy. Not much happened. They gave me kind of short needles, so I'll have to go back and get longer needles because I really had to jab it in there, which was not very enjoyable. One thing I did want to go over on this video was just kind of the last year in my life and how crazy it's been, the changes that have happened. A year ago around this time of the year, it was my last month at my last job. So at this time I was still living in Anago, which is a very small town up in northern Wisconsin. Not a lot of resources up there. There wasn't really many places I could turn to really try and do anything that I wanted to get done. So that was very frustrating, and that was part of the reason I was leaving my job up there. So at the end of March last year, I was done with my job and moved out of Anago. Moved down to Stevens Point and slept on my wonderful friend's couch for like a month and a half, which was an adventure in and of itself. I really appreciate that they let me stay there with them. It was really great. It was just a month of kind of trying to find my next move and trying to really get going. And I spent a lot of time just thinking about where I was going in life and what I wanted to accomplish. Mostly spent a lot of time playing games on the internet and applying for jobs. Tried to figure out my journey and where I was headed, and didn't figure it out at all. Got a random job that brought me to Madison, which is where I am now. So I've been in Madison since May of last year, 2011, and got a job, got down here, and lost my job right away. So kind of a crazy turn of events. Very stressful summer last year, between getting a new apartment and then losing your job, and that makes things a little tight. So money last year was always tight, so any sort of transition was kind of out of the question. I didn't even pursue looking at doctors down here. Part of the reason I did want to move to Madison and was so excited to get a job down in Madison was that I knew there was more resources here. I knew there was a lot more I could pursue down here. It's a much more open community than it is up in the Northwoods in Wisconsin. I'm not going to say I never, had any problems up there, but it's not very visible up there, I guess you could say. So here I am in Madison, and last June I was unemployed again and had rent to make, and ended up applying at Home Depot and got a job at Home Depot. Started out applying for electrical, which I don't know diddly squat about electrical, but that was the open position they had, and when I interviewed I actually got the position in flooring, which really surprised me because that's where my dad works, and I was like, well, that's interesting. We'll have some stuff to talk about now that's work related, which is kind of interesting. But just my journey from there has been remarkable. I was talking about it with some friends the other day, and it just went from I was a regular associate to taking on a lot of responsibility and moving my way up, and people started asking me where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do with my career, and it's like I have not a clue. And people started, suggesting that maybe I could become a department supervisor. And I thought they were kind of crazy. It's like, yeah, maybe in 2 years. Like, maybe that's a possibility. But I never really kind of considered it happening right away. So once I got settled in there and realized I wasn't going to be leaving anytime soon, I started pursuing doctors and treatments, and it took me a while just because I had to, get back on my feet from not having a job and, being tight on money for rent and everything. So, come this fall, around October and November, I started seriously looking into doctors, um, and just kind of shopping around really. Every place I called said they were, out into July for openings, that nobody was accepting patients, and that I wasn't going to be able to get in anywhere. And so that was really kind of a bummer. And, work was stressful and things were happening. There was a lot of shifts going on. And as it turned out, I ended up actually getting a supervisor position in January of this year. So that helped me kind of settle my financial position finally. And I called around and got in a few places, and they wouldn't do anything for me. So then they referred me to other places, and I kept hopping around the system, and finally got referred to a doctor just, which would be this last month, and was able to start really getting into my transition here that I was super excited about, and have been waiting for years and years to take this next step. And now that it's happening, it's really great. So I'm super excited. But just where I've come in the last year, it just absolutely amazes me that, I went from thinking it was going to be years and years and years until I could even start doing anything. And here I am just a year later, and I'm already on T. And I have a stable job, and it pays well. So I can save up money for surgery, and that'll be really nice, I think. And I think things are rolling along better than I expected them to be at this point. And just how much I've grown and changed in the last year kind of amazes me still to this day. The fact that people at work come up to me and ask me for my advice and want my help. New supervisors ask me to come over and help them out with their stuff, which it shocks me actually, but apparently I'm doing something right. So I'm pretty excited that I'm on a steady track now. Who knows where that'll go from here? In a year I could have a totally different job, but you never know. And I just think it's nice to look back and see how far we've come. That even in the darkest times, when you feel like you're not going to make rent, that you're not going to be able to eat, or whatever it is, that you can't even predict your future in the next week. You don't know what's waiting around the road, really. And I think part of that attitude shift is due to starting treatment. Gives me a lot of hope for the future and where I'll be. I've gone back and started looking at before and after photos again, because there's so many people out there that when you first get started, it's easy to get disappointed with. There's not a lot changing at first. But when you look at the photos of other people who've gone through it, and in 5 years you're a completely different person. Even a year later, it's totally different. That kind of helps me maintain my attitude for now, and just the few changes I have seen are really great. So just a big thank you to all my friends and family that have been supporting me throughout my entire life, and especially this last year that's been really tough. The friends that have let me crash with them, and my parents that are always helpful and supportive in any way they can be. It's great to know that you have that network there. And for anyone out there who doesn't have that network, reach out and connect, because you never know who is going to give you a hand. Like, you can make new friends everywhere, and friends are the best resource you have sometimes. So um, this video is just my second week, or second video, second update. This will be my third week on T coming up. This is my second shot today. So thanks everybody for watching, and I'll see you all around.